What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we were just catching up on all of the summer things. Cheyenne's just wrapped up. We just got done with Mitchell, Nebraska, and I'm sore. I'm freaking tired from travel and everything. So we're going to get into how to beat long drives and that stiffness that comes with it. Talk about some in-season / active recovery type things you can be doing on the road or even at home to help you not feel like a piece of shit. That was me,
We can't
dude.
do anything
I got
for
home.
your ethics, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might help your body feel better, but if you're just not a good person, we can't help that. So
yeah,
you're on your own there.
That's between you and other things.
We don't do that type of therapy here.
No.
Oh man, that's funny.
I'm surprised Logan made it this morning.
Yeah, guys.
Dude, I feel pretty good, really. Last night was
You're used to it now, bro.
Easy one. We got done. Yeah, it's what's crazy is that when I used to have these setups like this, we'd go set up an arena. I'm like, hey, I can't podcast tomorrow. You know, I'm not going to get back till 2 or 2:30. Well, there's been a couple times in the last week we have had a rodeo, had slack, torn the arena down, strapped it on the trailer, drove somewhere else, and set it back up, and then get home at 5 or 6. So now, if all I have to do is set an arena up or tear it down, like after the rodeo, I'm like, it's a half day. Easy. I was home. I was in bed by 2. I was like, I can podcast for sure. Like if we could push it back just a little bit, I checked my my sleep log or whatever, and I got more REM and deep sleep last night than I usually do. I had 6.5 or 7 hours worth of sleep. I feel pretty good considering. So anyway, it's all about perspective, right? It's all about your perspective.
Yeah. At times, yes, absolutely. At times, it's very important to just have that perspective. Like, nope, we're gonna make it. We can do this.
Whatever keeps going.
Yeah, that was me. I had about a solid 6 hours of sleep in 2 days, so I can relate.
Yeah,
and your body legit. Yeah. You do have to convince yourself a little bit. You're like, nope, we're good. This is just how it is. We're fine. Everything's good. Just don't do anything to further your debt. And so, like, even at the rodeo, we just got done, and I'm like, I would love to have a beer, but I just know that I'm not going to sleep tonight. If I have one beer, I'm probably going to have 2 or 3, and then I'm really going to feel bad tomorrow. So I passed on that and just went to sleep. And I was very thankful I did, because that alarm clock came real quick after laying down at 1 and having to get up at 3:30. I want to talk about airlines a little bit.
You buzzed in.
Yeah. Can I rant about airlines?
You kind of buzzed in and
go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Keep going, Paul. Keep going, Paul.
No, I was just gonna say you kind of buzzed into in and out of Mitchell there. So that's not just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Denver airport. So
not
did
anymore.
You stay in Mitchell from?
Nope. I drove
after
to Fort
the rodeo, or did you drive all the way back to Denver?
I drove to Fort Collins, which was not the halfway point, but
halfway-ish.
Yeah, a little bit more. I only had an hour to the airport after that, and I couldn't. Last year, I was like, I don't remember the drive home from the rodeo, and I was like, oh yeah, I slept the whole way. So the drive really wasn't that bad this year. I felt much better and got there, and I was like, when you like break through that tiredness, and you're like, let's just keep going. I should have just started driving home at this point. I'm good to go. So I kind of took me a minute to fall back asleep, and but yeah, came quick, got there. And what I was saying about airlines is I don't understand why, if they know the plane is going to be delayed hours, why do they make you get to the airport and then they tell you? It's like, dude, I could have slept for 2 more hours, or I could have done a lot of other things besides sitting here and waiting for the plane. Yeah, not really a rant, but I don't fucking get it. I don't get it at all. But I was happy to make it home. And I came home and I had a lot of, you know how you guys know how it is. You feel like if you don't look at your computer for a day, holy crap, like I have so much to do. And so I had that feeling. So I got a bunch done when I got home, and then I just passed out from like 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock last night. And I woke up, and Al got home from work, and I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. So I just went back to bed. So I got a bunch of sleep yesterday after getting home. Feel a lot better. went and made myself go work out this morning. I was sitting on the couch watching hunting videos. Imagine that. I watched the little cowboy channel, and then I was like, oh, I've already seen all this, so might as well go check out the elk hunting videos. I was like, man, I really don't want to get up and go do anything right now. This is awesome, just drinking some coffee, hanging out, but my neck was killing me. My hip flexors were killing me. I'm old. I was like, I got to go move. Got to go get moving. And biggest thing is this: we're recording this morning, so I'm like, I know exactly how I was going to feel. You know, it would have been what's the word I'm looking for? Like a reward to sit there. That feeling where you're kind of like, oh, this is awesome. But the second I would have got up after an hour and a half of that and come do this, I'm dead. I'm tired. I'm not turned on. Yeah, matters how you say words. Just like Paul sent us some text yesterday, and he's like, the punctuation makes a huge difference. Like, I apologize. So funny. But yeah, I went and got moving, which I think brings us into what we're talking about today. And I've had I think I sent this to Paul. I had someone email me
yes,
some ideas. Yeah, an idea for the episode, and really was wondering more about what is in-season / active recovery. What does a session actually look like, and why would you? I think we've talked about why you would do it. We're going to talk about that more today. But yeah, I went to the gym this morning in my garage, and like I said, was super sore. My neck and traps super tight. I would like to get a pump and feel good and go move some weight, but I knew that wasn't the best thing for me. I had 30 minutes after I'd convinced myself to finally get out there. I was like, all right, 30 minutes till showtime. Let's go. Pulled out some bands, pulled out the iron neck, and I just did activation / like self PNF stretching, if you can call it that. I just did some banded hip flexor distractions, did the iron neck, all of the exercises that I usually do. I do about 4 or 5 of them religiously, and that cures my neck pain instantly. It's so wild. You guys know, like, Logan probably the same way. Like, I'm always popping my neck because it's just I feel so tight, so much tension through here. The second I do that deal with the iron neck, it won't pop. Like, the muscles turn on and everything's actually activated. That dull pain that I constantly have at the base of my skull, gone. And it's like, finally, something that actually helps neck pain. Like, it's awesome. So I highly encourage anybody, if you're going through neck pain or dealing with tension headaches or been a rodeo athlete in the past, especially rough stock, you're probably dealing with some some neck pain, some past trauma there. That iron neck really does work.
I need to get one of those.
It's great.
Especially if I've got headphones in, I can feel it. But like if I just rotate my neck side to side, like there's like a grinding at the base of my neck, and it's like super annoying. And I know it's probably not good for long term. Like, it doesn't bother me right now. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't really cause anything, like that I can notice. But man, it kind of sends a red flag to my brain saying like, hey, that grinding at the base of your neck probably is not good.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's just it, is, having more neck strength could probably help take some of that away. I don't know.
Dude, your head is so heavy. Like, people don't realize that your dome is freaking heavy, dude. You're having to support like 13 pounds with this neck. I don't know how some people do it. Walking around, I'm looking around, I'm like, dude, how is that thing resting on that little neck? Thing's gonna fall off. Yeah. You got to get that thing stronger.
Think about our posture too, like the way we sit. I know we'll talk about it as far as driving, but I notice it a lot with me. Is like, totally head is heavy, but then I'm sitting on the lawnmower, I'm sitting in the truck, I'm sitting down right now, and I'm like a giraffe, or I'm like a horse trying to eat grass on the other side of the fence, and man, we do that. We do that 6, 7, 8 hours. 8 hours a day. Well, I'm kind of in an improvised setup here, but you do that 6 or 8 hours a day, and man, that takes a huge,
without even knowing it, really
toll on your body. 100% without even knowing it. Scrolling on your phone, we're just in this like rounded position all the time. And where I really notice it is I don't have a ton of neck pain right now, but somebody else even pointed it out. I didn't even notice it, but I was somewhere and somebody was like, hey, are you crippled? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, when you turned to look at me, you like turned your whole body. I'm like, I never even thought about it, but my range of motion, and when I like go to look at something, I just don't turn my head super far, and it's probably some sort of subconscious thing. I'll turn my head a little, but then I'm moving my shoulders to be able to see. And so anyway, it's it's crazy, just our lifestyle and the wear and tear of our lifestyle, not to mention getting on bulls or bucking horses or anything else like that, and the effects that can have on your neck.
Dude, a weird one, and this is like, now we're kind of going down a neck rabbit hole, but like when Heather takes a picture of me holding one of the kids, like, and I'll look back at the photo, like my head is always like jutted forward and like with the hump in my neck. And I feel like I don't think I do that all the time, but I probably do, at least, when I'm driving or sitting at a desk or something like that. I probably sit like that a lot.
Like that?
When I have a kid,
like pushing your neck forward?
Then I have a kid in my hand. Yeah, for some reason, like there's like a hump in the back of my neck sometimes, and it brings awareness to like, oh crap, yeah, that's not good posture. Definitely don't need to be doing that. So
yeah, I'm just thinking about it right now, dude. The computer's the worst for me. I find myself, I just start pushing my head closer. I'm like, what? You're not looking in. It's not getting any bigger moving your head closer to it. Like, what are you doing? But I constantly am doing that, and my traps is the worst. I just carry everything right here, and like even when I'm just sitting down, not doing anything, I'm like, dude, you have to relax. Like, pull your shoulder blades back and get everything set. It feels way better.
So many
absolutely.
people listening right now just like totally fixed
that. Oh, dude, I think I've tried to crack mine like 3 times since we've been talking about necks. I'm like, oh, my neck is aching all of a sudden now. I need to do some mobility. It's funny.
Iron Neck, check it out. There's a link in my.
Let's all get the.
There's a link on my Instagram bio. We can put it in the show notes as well for you guys to check it out. It's not a quick or not a. How do I say it? It's not inexpensive. It's a little bit of an investment, but the discount helps a lot. It's like $35 or something, $50 off. Like, it's pretty solid. Check it out. Well worth it. And I think a lot of these places are doing the interest-free payment plans too through whatever that company is that I've seen, which is pretty cool. Yep. If you, I don't know, I think it's worth checking out. No interest is nice. It's a way to go, but good thing to check out. But check out Iron Neck. They're awesome, y'all, especially if you're a rough stock athlete, been a rough stock athlete, or you're someone just sitting at the desk constantly dealing with neck pain. They call that tech neck. Man, today's society, that's probably more prevalent than ever, obviously, because technology is so much more available and runs everything that we do. So I guarantee someone listening is probably like, damn, I need to check that out. Check them out, ironneck.com. And there's a discount code or a link in our show notes as well. Let's get into how to beat the long drive discomfort on the road with some movement sessions. And
I think that was a good segue, because we were talking about, just sitting, like long sitting, and like all the effects that has on your body. So like, I mean, during a long drive, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely. What's the impacts? Like, what do you feel? You're sitting there, you getting out of the car. What's your body telling you after you get done driving that long?
Man, for me, it's like low back stiffness. Hip flexors will feel pretty tight. Generally, like I'll notice, like I said just a few minutes ago, that neck or my head wanting to ride forward and probably getting that hump in your neck. So like those are the big ones for me, and I think those are probably really common across the board. But I'd be interested to know if you guys have any other.
I think inputs. That I couldn't agree with you more. And my number one that I feel and that I hear from clients is hips. My hips, and a lot of times I've noticed in some vehicles that I sit in, it's almost like the seat is kind of like a bowl, if you can think about. And so like the edges of my hips are like, I'm just forced into this internal rotation with my thighs, like the entire time. And dude, my hips will ache after a while, or the seats like tilted back. And so anyway, that's I've never really paid attention to how the seat of a vehicle is set up and the positioning. You know, of course, when I was in high school, it was as far away from the steering wheel as you could get it so that you look cool. As I get older, I'm like, grandma, like, okay, how can I have the best posture
Me too,
driving
dude.
this vehicle? Because the seat, the way that seat sets makes such a big difference, especially with my hips.
If you have like electronic seats, mine go up and down in the front and the back, right? So I'll try and lower that front and kind of lift my ass up so it gets me into this position where those hip flexors aren't in such that constantly shortened position.
Yes.
And think about this, like you put on cruise control, right? What do? You bend your knees to you and put your feet flat on the ground usually. So now you're in, again, really shortened position and through that hip flexor. All that pressure in the seat is going straight to lumbar, hips, and driving that psoas and those hip flexors down and back. So really understandable why we are so damn tight through our hip flexors when we get out of the truck. And I have had a couple guys at the rodeo, you know, and it's just that time of year where they're not as consistent. They're traveling, they're tired, but they just like catch an eye with me and they're just like, damn, I should be doing stuff, huh? Like, yeah. It's like, you know, it's not affecting me, but I'm like, you're probably pretty sore, huh? Been like a week since you checked in. They're like, yeah, dude. And every time I do, I just know that that's what I need to do is go move. And it's just, it'll be gone. It'll be fixed. And that's the hardest thing to do during this time of year is make yourself go do it. But they've been, they're just adding it into their warm-ups, which is cool. Like I'm great with that. They start the warm-up a little early. They'll do some actual mobility and then they'll do some activation a little bit further down the road as they're getting closer, taping up and doing things like that, getting ready to get on. And they're feeling a lot better. And so I got to catch up with a lot of guys and Mitchell and kind of bullshit with them while they're going through their pregame warm-ups. And it was fun. But every year, man, we hear that from clients, from athletes, like, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm hurt. I went and did this mobility session. Didn't necessarily want to, but got it done. And damn, I'm glad I did that. And I won't be missing another one if I can prevent it, you know? So it's really important to pay attention to that and to get your body moving. What about preparing, like for the long
That's
drives?
what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say, like, most of the time, especially with the people that we deal with, but for most people, if you're going on vacation or it's not just a spur of the moment, hop in the car and drive for 10 hours. You know ahead of time when you're getting ready to go. And so it requires, one of the things that you can do is preparing for that long drive and thinking ahead a little bit. And for me, I know that if I'm going to be sitting in the car for 10 hours today, say I'm going to drive out to Doug's or I'm going to, drive to go see Paul or whatever, then I'm going to make time in the morning before I leave for a little mobility routine. I'm probably not going to go to the gym and get a full workout in, but I'm going to go through some mobility exercises because it's super important to me. I know that is going to make a big difference in how I feel at the end of the day, at the end of my trip. And the fact that I was able to plan ahead and still get something in. It might not have looked like my usual programming, but it was definitely some movement. So planning ahead, I think, for these long trips is something that could definitely help. And it's not something we as Americans are really good with. thinking ahead. We like to typically
I'm terrible at this. Like getting in some activity before going on a long drive, like I'm horrible at it, especially if we have an early departure time. And then, what generally results is rolling out of bed, throwing everything in the car, getting in the car immediately. 2 hours later, I'm like, damn, like I should have done something. I should have, made an adjustment. Generally, if there's a later departure time, like in mid-morning or in the afternoon, then I will try to get a workout, like a full workout in, because I know that I'm going to feel better. But on those times when the full workout isn't even an option, like I'm horrible at doing something to prepare. And then usually it's 2 hours in, you make the first rest stop and I'm like, I have to move now. Like I didn't set myself up for success today. Now I have to go do something to undo what I just did. So, I'm bad at it. I know other people are definitely going to resonate with that, but like the having done full workouts before getting in the car, if I have time, work out, take a shower, jump in the car, go, like that is like I feel the best. when I'm able to do that. So I know there's something to it. But yeah, I really need to get better about like doing at least something, like some stretching, like maybe a 10-minute stretching routine, or like go through like some type of warm up. Like if you're warming up for, just like you're warming up for your workout, you could do that right before you get in the car. It's not going to be super strenuous. You're going to activate some muscles that you're going to kind of put things where they need to go. And then you're going to go sit in the car and feel a whole lot better than if you hadn't.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. That I think leads us perfectly into stretching and movement while you're actually driving and on the road. I don't mean while you're driving. I'm talking about when you're stopping to get fuel or whatever. You got to go to the bathroom, food, getting out of the car. Like Paul just said, he explained those, not symptoms, but sensations he has when he got up. He is tight, he's sore. He said, I got to go move. What are some things we can do while we're getting out and moving around that are going to promote circulation, trying to alleviate that muscle tension? I think first thing we have to think about is what parts of the body are really getting affected here while we're sitting. And I think we've talked about that. Well, I know we've talked about that here just now, a few of them: your hips, your neck, your lower back. Something we haven't talked about is my ankles get real tight when I'm sitting for a long time, like they're cracking and popping. And something else I always love to address is, because my lower back and hips are usually pissed off at this point, I like to activate the glutes to take that, to get that tension to go away. I think this is a total theory. I'm not smart enough to like explain this on a science base, but I think when we sit that long, that those neural pathways don't go away, but I think they shut down because of the lack of activation of what, that those muscles aren't doing anything right. They're sitting there not having to activate. So I think that there is a benefit to turning that connection back on, which is when you get up and do some of these priming exercises or mobility exercises when you're driving in the middle of having to take your break or whatever. I think that's why it feels much better, and it's also going to help in the long run, keeping, again, those sensations away.
That's some things that I do. Yeah, that's what I do to help correct posture, even while I'm driving. Like I can do some neck isometrics. I'll do leg and glute contractions. Like you can just sit there and you can drive your neck to the back of the seat, into the headrest. Hold that for 10, 20 seconds. Obviously, if you're in construction or traffic, like, probably not a good idea. But if you're on open highway, like, that's not going to deter your focus or anything from driving. You can just drive your neck to the back of the headrest, and kind of activate those neck muscles. It'll help sit you back upright. Some other things that I do are like kind of like a scapula pull up, but using the steering wheel. So like I'll just kind of roll my shoulder blades back.
There's going to be one day where he does one, and all of a sudden it just goes clown car. Wheels in his hand, and he's got nothing.
Well, like I'm not pulling like full force on the steering wheel, but like I'm putting some tension on it and just squeezing my shoulder blades back. And then like you said, glutes. Like I can sit there and do glute contractions,
pelvic tilts
while I'm driving. Pelvic tilts. I can do all of those things while I'm driving. It's not going to affect anything. And one other thing that I like to do is like wrist CARs. So I can't remember what CAR actually stands for. It's
controlled articulated rotation.
Controlled articulated rotation. That's it. So we're talking about wrist CARs. We're not talking about the car you drive, but controlled articulated rotations of the wrist, because what I find is I tend to drive with one hand the exact same way 99% of the drive. And so what happens is, I'm gripping the steering wheel in one way and I'm not moving my wrist at all. Dude. It's just staying there. And then, so like, it helps get some circulation back in your fingers and stuff. It feels a little bit better. So like, I mean, those are things that I can do while I'm driving. I don't even have to get out of the car to do those. So I think those are great. But yeah,
I completely agree. And on that note, like if I what I do, like with my wrists, I typically do it with my ankles more, with my toes, especially and only if I'm in cruise control with my right foot. But I'm going to do the alphabet. I'll like trace the alphabet with my big toe, and just moving your ankle through that range of motion while you're able to drive. Like, man, we're just promoting blood flow and able to go through, a full range of motion. And it makes a huge difference when you get out. All the things that you mentioned make a monstrous difference when you step out of the car at that first truck stop 2, 3, 4 hours into a drive. I feel way better if I have been doing some of those things periodically than if I haven't been.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's a no-brainer, but it's one of those things it's too easy to do, and then people don't do it, and then they're like, "Oh, I feel so bad. I'm so tight." Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, just do the easy shit. Pick the low-hanging fruit, y'all. It's easy. Use it.
Yeah,
super easy.
Ones that I like to do. Yeah, ones I like to do once I do stop, because that's like, like you said, that's too easy. So like something, especially if I'm driving through the night, like you got to get up and like, kind of wake yourself back up, really get some blood flowing. There's two that I go to like every single time. And one of them is going to be like some type of push up. And if I'm filling up the car, obviously I'm not getting down on the ground right there at the gas pump and doing a push up. So like, I'll just lean up against the back hatch or something and do, some chest elevated push-ups, and then rear foot elevated split squats. I do a lot because it isolates one leg. It's more challenging than an air squat. It really gets the blood flowing. It helps with ankle mobility. It really gets the hip flexors back loosened up because that trail leg is, in full extension. Mm-hmm. I love doing those on fuel breaks because it's like it can completely change. If I was really dragging those last few miles or whatever, I can get back in the car and I feel brand new.
Hear that, Logan? Next time you almost kill us in the moving van, falling asleep at the wheel, I need some rear foot elevated split squats out of you, all right?
Rear foot elevated, that must be my problem. Because I like a lunge. I like a lunge pattern for the same reason, is like I feel it in my hips and I'm able to kind of get that hip flexor going. Yeah, that must be why I fall asleep. But some sort of like lunge pattern, and then I really like to lengthen like my hamstrings when I'm at a truck stop or whatever. And they have, some people call them chicken catchers, some people call them. I think but essentially we just take a small step and have that one leg that's in forward straight, and you kind of bend down and lengthen that hamstring, and then you take another small step, straighten that forward leg, and anyway, those two for me are like my big go-tos. I don't really have anything upper body wise, but that is where I feel it the most, I think, is in my hamstrings, my hip flexors. And that seems to really, really help my hips. But I do fall asleep at the wheel a lot, so maybe I need to throw in some push-ups and some rear foot elevateds.
If you've ever ridden in the car with Logan, it feels like he's asleep at the wheel 90% of the time anyway. So if he's actually falling asleep, then you are in serious trouble.
Real trouble. Real trouble. You can ask Blade Elliott about me falling asleep at the wheel. We're not going to get into it on this podcast, but I did almost kill us one time. So yep,
we'll have him on. Yeah, we'll have him on. I think what we're going to do is we're going to start like a series, like once a month. We'll just have our old traveling buddies on, and we'll just totally find out the dirt on all the dumb shit that happened.
Absolutely. All this cool stuff you said. How many times? None of this. I'm like, I know.
We'll start tallies. How many times know any better. Kill people.
Yeah. I've got plenty of notches on my gun. Don't worry.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. We were talking. So this whole time talking about long driving, discomfort that comes with it, being on the road. We've talked about some exercise options you can do. We just talked about that. We've talked about posture the entire time, and we kind of touched on that things we could do while we're driving, doing the chin tucks against your headrest. I'll do a chin tuck with a little diagonal look and look into my armpit real quick. Again, usually when I'm a passenger doing that one, just so I'm not taking my eyes off the road. But it does help a lot, and it is a good stretch. And the biggest cue I give people is maybe we're getting to a point where people don't know what Family Guy is. Like, we're getting far. People are young enough to not know, but if you know what Peter Griffin is, I just say make your Peter Griffin chin when you're doing those chin tucks. Make that double chin and make your neck elongate and become neutral in that position, right? But you'll feel it when you hit that Peter Griffin chin. You'll know, because it's not a very attractive feeling. It's good though, great for your neck. But
some other things you can do. Yeah, I was just gonna say some other things we can do. Like, we were talking about adjusting the seat earlier, and I should have brought it up then. But like, there's certain things, like functions in the seat, that can help kind of alleviate some of that pain. And I love what you said about like tilting, like raising the seat up and kind of tipping it forward with the automatic seats. Like, that's my favorite way to do it too. but I was watching a Kelly Starrett video the other day, and I think he was
Shout
talking
out
about
to
like
the
his
OG,
desk
bro.
bound. Yeah, I think he was talking about like desk bound people, like when you're
Mhm.
sitting in a chair for a long time, you get those tight hip flexors. He said you don't want your seat so high that your feet aren't in full contact with the ground, but then you also don't want it so low that your
Hip flexors are
hips
above your
in,
hips.
more
Yeah, or your knees are above
flexion
your
than
hips.
what they
Yeah.
need. Yeah, your knees above your hips.
Mhm.
So he said like start with your seat high and then lower it until you can really grip the ground and feel like you can push backwards, and then that's the spot that you need to be in. And so I thought that was like really insightful, because I was like, I'm always trying to jockey that seat around and figure out like what's going to be the most beneficial and keep me from getting too sore. And that tip was perfect. And some cars don't have the option to tilt forward, and so in that case that would be where you want to be. You want it to be raised enough that you're not in total flexion, and you want to be low enough that you can really grip the ground on the floor.
You can there's some inserts and stuff you can get too to put in like your lumbar region or your thoracic region that are like little, they're like pillows, but they're firm, and so they actually make you sit up. And so for when Richie was just starting rodeo, and he feel like in his probably it's like his third year of really going full time, I remember jumping in the van with him, and he is like, I'm talking about like grandma up to this thing. Like his arms are bent when he's got the wheel, shoulders are back the entire time, and he's got like a pad in his lumbar, and he's like, I know it looks like I'm old, but this is the only way I can drive, and this feels good. And I'm like, no, that makes total sense. So Sean Reedy was the one who actually showed me this little deal. There's a strap that can go, it goes just around your shoulders, but on the backside, and it essentially opens the chest up and makes you squeeze your shoulder blades in and have good posture. And this was years ago that he had this, and he was saying, man, when he's Justin Sports Med, so those guys are driving up and down the road, rodeo to rodeo, especially during the summer. He's like, dude, if I don't wear this, I am wrecked without it. And so it just makes you do that, and eventually subconsciously you will get back to this position. I'll have to hit him up and ask him what it is. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I've seen more and more guys using it. And I think that would be a great thing to implement if you were constantly having a problem of being in the car and getting in this really rounded position, which naturally it's going to happen, especially if you're reaching for the wheel. Or I just noticed in my desk chair, you just mentioned all this setting, so I kind of got it set right now, and I didn't realize it, but I'm constantly sitting back in this thing. It tilts back and lets my hips come up or my knees come up. Yep. So I don't realize it, but I'm always in that position. So I just lock the chair too, so I can't go backwards.
You're in like a posterior tilt, and that's what a lot of vehicle seats will set us in, a posterior pelvic tilt, and that's why we end up seeing guys get like stiff lower backs and tight hip flexors, is because basically, like if you think about tucking your tailbone, that's what the car is forcing you into sitting, and that's why the lumbar support is so important, because then there's in yoga they call them sit bones. Your hip bones, you can feel them if you're sitting on a hard surface and you rock back and forth. You can feel there's 2 points underneath your butt cheeks that are in contact with it, and that's what you want to be in contact with the seat when you're driving. You don't want to be so posterior tilted that it's all butt cheek and like no leg on there. And so if you can keep a neutral pelvic alignment,
all butt cheek, no leg.
Yeah, all butt cheek. I don't know where that came from, but you want a neutral pelvic alignment so that your sit bones are in contact and you're maintaining your lumbar is pretty much straight up and down.
I want to know how many people listen to this and are just hearing all this, and then I'm like, how many of y'all have thought about this when you're sitting there? Because I bet none of y'all have.
Yeah. It's
not something you naturally think about, but when you do start thinking about the way you're sitting and the way your posture is, and the last thing we're going to talk about is making sure that you are putting in movement breaks into your drives. And the best part about this is you have them naturally built in. You got to get fuel. You've got to get food. Like you have to stop. You got to take a piss. Unless you're just old school and you're real late and you got to go in a bottle and you can't stop. I've been there too. So maybe not that time, but for the most part, you have your times where you're going to stop. You just got to do it. And I said something earlier on this episode of it's just too easy, dude. It is. It's the easiest thing ever to do. How fucking hard is that? But there's one thing that has to happen. You got to do it. And that's all, that comes down to something we talk about all the time, dedication versus motivation. Do you really want to feel good when you get to the rodeo? Are you really tired of feeling tight every time you drive? because we just gave you, I don't know, 25 things you could do, to help alleviate that tension and the tightness. You just got to do it. So make sure you girls, you're getting it in on the road. You're taking advantage of the little time that you have. A little time consistently adds up to a lot of time and goes a long way. And think about all the people that are going to listen to this and think about doing it, but not second you put action to it, you're already 20 steps ahead of them. It's important. That's like a theme I've been coming across lately. It's just the dedication versus motivation thing. And again, it's that time of year, but as a coach, we can't do much for them because they aren't doing the work. It's just tough. You just got to do it when it's not fun. And that's what makes the guys that are world champs and the girls that are world champs. And the people that are sitting there wishing and dreaming they were still sitting there wishing, dreaming they were. Right. So go put the work in. Hopefully this helps some people listening, and you can kind of implement these things while you're traveling. I know I'm going to be putting out a lot more exercise demos and things like that for social media, so guys and girls can be doing that stuff on the road. I met a kid this weekend, 14, steer dogger, comes up to me as I didn't even get 10 feet out of my truck. Are you Doug Champion? I was like, depends who's asking, bud. He's like, man, I've been doing your workouts I've been following your Instagram. I do every single thing that you guys have posted. I've been following Paul and Logan. Like, cannot thank you guys enough for just introducing fitness to me, because he wasn't a big guy, and his mom was like, he has to work for it. He has to work at the steer dogging because he's not the biggest kid. And, we didn't know what to do. So we just thank you guys for putting out the resources that are there. And it's pretty cool that none of us have talked to this guy or his mom. They've just taken the information available and followed our cues for it. And he's seen cool results, which is awesome. Like that's what we do this for. It's the whole point. Right. So it's cool to see the next generation. The culture's changing, man. Guys are realizing they've got to be athletes to make it happen. And, sitting there at the rodeo and turn around, it's all rough stock riders, but I'd say 80% of them got resistance bands out. They're doing movement. They're getting ready. And the other 20% are wishing they had the resistance bands and know they should be doing that. It's funny to watch the dynamic. You can see it, man. You can see it. They're watching. They're getting taped up. They're watching the elite. Yep. Hold on one sec. I got to stand up. I just saw a dog flash by. I think Remy got out. She's been a escape artist lately. My 11-month-old Golden is like just full on anarchy mode right now, and is just like, let's go. So we have a doggy door that goes out front, and I don't know how she got out. It's fenced in, but we woke up this morning and she's on the side door out here, soaking wet, covered in mud. Like, what's up? 5 a.m. motherfuckers, let me in. Like, oh my God, you've just been out here raging all night, haven't you? Just partying, chasing deer, who God knows what. But Montana is suiting her well, to say the least.
I bet.
But sorry, getting back on track. Yeah, I think if anyone has any other questions too, please shoot us messages. If you have ideas for topics for episodes, we'd love to hear them. That's again how we got this one. And I don't know if we just talked about it earlier when we were just getting going, but we are going to start some live Q&A episodes. We would love to have some of you guys and girls on the show, asking questions, maybe about yourself. You're going through A, B, and C. You want to know how to accomplish whatever your goal is, or you have any other questions. We'd love to have you on and kind of break that down, because I'm sure other people will have the same questions as well. And that's what we're here for, is to just spread as much information, good information as we can, and try and help as many folks as we can. But guys, we got to thank our sponsors. Beastmaster Rodeo, been with us since day one. The best rodeo gear out there, whether you are the elite of professional rodeo or just getting started, they have something for you. Use our discount code CHAMPIONLIVING, all one word. Beastmasterrodeo.com. You're going to save you 10% on all their gear. And HOOEY brands. Guys, check out HOOEY gear. We're still in the peak of summer. They have got some badass swag for summertime. Got some good shorts, great t-shirts, ball caps as always. And if you have not tried their jeans, I'm not saying that they're like putting the cloud on, but they're pretty damn close. They're incredible. Yeah. And also, if you're built like any of us, and what did you say? All ass, no legs. Sorry, we're both ass and both legs. So we have it all. I have a hard time wearing any other jeans. These are, dude, they work for it. They're a great athletic fit. They're stretchy. They hold starch well, and I can legit do a sit to stand in them, no problem, without cutting off the range of motion. Can't do that in many other jeans. I can guarantee it. But check them out. Use our discount code there. It's Champion Living, all one word, not case sensitive. That's going to save you 10% on all HOOEY gear. Woo, y'all. Until next time, we'll catch you later.